Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where I talk about crime dramas that I like. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of The Blacklist and Rush Hour. Starting off with The Blacklist, very interesting episode. There was that little thing at the beginning where he was having that conversation with Nick. Because I'm still not 100% sure if Liz being dead is real or fake. Now, personally, I'm thinking, even if it is fake, Red's not in on it. I think Nick is, though, because basically I was under the impression, I was like, okay, maybe Red is in on it, that basically he wasn't, he was having Nick explain everything just because he was like trying to make sure that Nick did everything that he possibly could, because it's like, if Nick didn't, I'm just going to freaking kill him. It looked like he wanted any excuse to kill Nick, because Nick's like, please don't kill me. I did all that I could. And then Red's kind of like, yeah, it's kind of pathetic how you're like pleading, like pathetically pleading like that. But it was kind of in my mind, it's like, what if he's having Nick say it over and over again so he can get the story straight and, keep this lie straight in his head? Because I feel like if Liz's death is fake, which I'm still holding out for, but, this episode made me think it was more real because, just like how off his game Red is, especially in this episode. But it's like, if it is fake, I don't think Red's in on it. I think it's something probably Nick and Liz talked about, but it's like, Reddington's in the dark about it. I'll probably nearly everyone except Nick is probably in the dark. She probably only told him because he was there to, fake her death. But basically in this episode, like, Red meets a woman that he basically saves her from drowning, because basically Red's kind of going off. He's left. He kind of left everything behind. This episode wasn't even about a blacklister, because he's not even working with the FBI right now, because he's just dealing with everything that's happened. Tom is telling him to keep his distance away from Agnes, because it's like, don't make the same mistake you made with Liz, because he was under the impression, he thought that if he kept her close, he could, and she kind of took her underneath his wings, no one would hurt her, that she'd always be protected, but that got proven wrong with her dying now. Like, she was put in that situation with Solomon because he couldn't protect her. And essentially, Tom was like, the best thing you can do is stay away from her. Keeping you away from her, it keeps, your enemies away from her. But essentially, Reddington met that woman, he saved her life. And literally the moment, as the episode went on, like, I did have a hard time struggling. I was like, okay, is this fake or is this real? Because I was like, is this all in Red's head, or she's like faking a lot of this situation to get close to Red because she's actually an enemy trying to kill him? But it's like, no, by the time that you get in an episode, it's like, no, it was all in his head, because there were certain aspects of it. It was just kind of like, yeah, he's deaf. It's all in his head, because it's like the lady he was meeting with, the lady would never give her personal name, but she would always kind of throw questions back at Red, and he would answer them, but she'd never say anything about herself. He told her about the whole Liz situation and what happened to her, kind of the Tom situation about Tom not letting him get near Agnes. And it's like, have you ever killed anyone? He's like, yeah, I've killed plenty of people, but they all deserved it. And it just certain aspects started kind of making it seem more and more likely that was kind of all in his head, especially that scene where she actually says, okay, don't be crazy, Reddington. It's like, okay, like, she called him, no, Raymond. She called him Raymond. It's like, and he kind of looked at her like, wait, what? Because it's like, throughout the entire time, he's never used his name. He's never told her his name. So that was kind of a thing right there. But it was just like, you legitimately couldn't tell whether it was real or fake. I was starting to think like, no, this actually might just be real. I was like, no, it's definitely fake, especially when he, comes to the realization that it was him by himself the entire time. It's really weird when you look back on it. It seems like it looked like a scene, like the whole premise seemed like something from a movie, one of those movies where it's like, oh, the persons think they're being, hunted by someone, but it all ended like, it seemed like something like a big revelation like you see in a movie. It's like a movie twist. It's like, oh, it was all inside his head. There's I think it's a French movie called High Tension. I know I'm spoiling it, but it's like a 2003 movie. It had a twist like that. I mean, it's not like a movie I feel like anyone would come across anyway. I know I'm kind of going way off topic, but that's just the only thing that could pop in my head that I was really sure, it was the only thing I could compare it to. But I love the twist when you find out that the lady that because he was thinking, because I thought it was kind of interesting how the lady apparently tried to kill herself. The way she tried to kill herself was going into the water, the same way Reddington told Liz that's how her mom died. And it turns out that the lady was Liz's mom, because kind of how Reddington had to make the sacrifice between like Liz and the baby. Basically, she was in that medical situation she was, and he had to choose between trying to save her or save the baby. Because if he tried to save both, there's a good chance that both of them would have died. But he chose saving the baby. And it was apparently it was kind of a similar situation, because inside his head, Liz's mom was saying like, it's okay, you made the right choice. Because essentially, that's kind of what happened. Because she had brought it up in this episode, like that she was sad and she tried to kill herself because her child was being raised by someone else. So it kind of makes sense, because Liz was raised by someone else, not her. And it seems, because it was always kind of a debate, because it was always like, oh, Reddington was Liz's dad, but apparently, obviously that's not true. But it seems like what's kind of always floated in my head is because he was in love with Liz's mom. And it kind of seemed like whatever the situation was, because we still don't even know what it was exactly, but the situation called for Red to choose between Liz and her mom, and he chose Liz. But, in his head, Liz's mom is like, okay, you made the right choice. That place he's in, is that where she killed herself? Because it's like he found that pendant. Because I don't think that pendant was inside his head. Because, but it does make you wonder if what he read on it was inside his head. Because it does seem like it was his mom's pendant. Her mom's pendant. Because I was wondering, like, was there like a specific reason why he went to that specific town? Because that specific place, and that's most likely what the reason was, is because it's where Liz, it's the last time anyone ever saw Liz's mom. So it is leaning more towards the fact is that Liz's mom really is dead, because she has been told that she was alive, but Reddington kept telling her, it's like, no, your mom's dead, so it's like, this kind of cements it that maybe she is dead, because this is him kind of regretting the fact is that he wasn't able to save her. He was able to save Liz, but he wasn't able to save her mom. And, it's kind of that whole situation has come back full circle. It's like I said, this episode was interesting on so many levels. For one, it was because of that twist, like it all being inside Reddington's head. I also liked how they systematically they worked together to systematically kill everyone in the house. And I thought that was kind of interesting. Like, I was like, the way she's handling this situation, she's a little too damn calm about this whole situation. That's what kind of, another reason why I was kind of like, oh, this is all inside of his head. But I really liked the one where they basically, the one where the guy blew himself up. Essentially, he went, because they had the window open a crack and they had like a tank kind of leaking gas, and the guy opens the door and it strikes the matches and explodes. That was probably my favorite one. But that, plus the fact is, but the other thing I want to talk about how I liked was because Reddington wasn't himself. Because usually you never see Red so defeated and out of whack. It's like, you've never seen him weak and vulnerable. Because he's always kept a strong front. He's always kind of, it's the first time legitimately seeing Reddington out of control. It's something you've never seen before. And I'm interested to see where we go from here, because it's like, I want to know, is Liz really dead? And it's like, what if she is dead? It's like, what is Reddington going to do? Like, obviously he's going to get some revenge, obviously, but it's like, where does he go from here? Like, especially after what he's experienced in this episode, it kind of, it brought a lot of stuff to light. It kind of put stuff in a clearer picture for him. So I'm highly curious to see where it goes from here. And now, moving on to this week's episode of Rush Hour, which is a really nice episode. It was essentially an episode about a politician and a surfer dude kind of getting killed, as well as there was a third target. Essentially, they were all connected to a specific strip mall being torn down. Essentially, the killer, the one setting up all these bombs, the reason why he was doing it is because he's from another country, and in that country, he was a very sciencey dude. The reason why he's able to make bombs, and the reason why he was killing these guys is because they destroyed, he literally went after everyone that had a part to play in this particular strip mall being shut down. I think he was working for this guy who worked, I think he had a specific store at that strip mall, and the reason why he did all this is because it was torn down, even though he was trying to get it preserved as a historical landmark. But it didn't work, and basically he was going after everyone that was kind of involved in it. And it kind of came down, it reflected a lot of themes in this episode. One big theme being because the fact is Lee was looking for a home, and it's just kind of like this guy was the same way. He didn't really have a home until he started working at the guy's place, because it's like he was the only one that gave him a chance. Because, like I said, he was kind of a sciencey dude back home, but it's like here in the U.S., it's like he couldn't get a job anywhere. No one would give him a hand until he got a job there, and he really appreciated that place. But he tried his best to fight for the place, but it still got torn down. So, and Lee kind of, made parallels to him. He's like, I understand what it means to kind of like not have a home, to feel like you don't have a place to belong. It's like, especially when you do find that place to belong in this new place, and then just to have it taken from you, it's just, it's a lot. Granted, he went about it the wrong way, but because he killed two people just for that. It's not like they were trying to, he even tried to kill the lady who he went to try and make it a historical place. I mean, it's not her fault, because essentially, there's guidelines to that type of thing, and essentially the place had been remodeled, like I think I said 15 years prior, so it couldn't, be labeled as one. But he felt like he tried his best, and they were literally taking his home from him. So it's a really sad thing, and it kind of brings light to the fact is, Lee was kind of in a similar situation, kind of a foreigner in a foreign land, and being so far away from home, not having a place to call your own. I mean, granted, Lee was able to find a place, with a little help from Gerald. I did like the fact is that Gerald was going to set him up in Koreatown. He's like, oh yeah, what kind of place you want? Somewhere like Koreatown. And he's like, somewhere more like home, like Koreatown. He's like, I'm not Korean. He's like, okay, not Koreatown. See, we're kind of working. I really like the fact is that he was legitimately trying to help Lee. And I love the fact is that he ended up tracking Carter and Lee to that crime. They were at one of their suspects' house, and he had followed them there because there's an app to basically track your friends. And Carter's like, okay, but then how did you find us? He's like, yeah, I downloaded the app on your phone too. It's just like, you can't be having your cousin just pop up in crime scenes like that, Carter. But it's like that was something out of his control. And I love the fact is that they were cracking jokes on Lee because, Lee's kind of the badass who kind of takes people down. And essentially he got pushed into the lake by that Marine guy because he couldn't see. And then he got beat up by the suspect when he tracked him down. The actual bomber, he got beat up by him. And it's just because the entire time Lee was kind of off balance because he kind of got thrown out of whack because he wasn't, he got kicked out of his place originally, the place he was living in, kind of his apartment. The place he's renting, because he wrote a citation to his landlord because his landlord was smoking in a place he shouldn't be smoking, and he basically raised Lee's rent to like $1 million or something like that to kind of get him back. I like the place Gerald was going to give him. It was that place. He's like, oh, here's the pool. So he got a pool at Hottie's. And Lee was like, I don't need pools and Hotties. He's like, are you crazy? You must be out your mind. Everyone needs pools and Hotties. What's wrong with you? And then he's taking all those pictures, and Carter's just like upset about it. He's like, why? It's just like, why is Gerald surrounded by all these beautiful women? They're just kind of like all having fun in the picture. It's just like, why is that? It seems like Gerald may be a bit of an idiot, but he is quite the ladies' man. I guess he just has that kind of personality where people just tend to float around him, I did really like the fact is that at the end of the episode, he ends up moving into Dee Dee's place. And I love because Gerald was essentially saying, I find a place for Lee, I get some commission. So he's like, oh yeah, give me I can't wait to get commission on this. And Carter's like, but you found Dee Dee's place. He's like, yeah. You didn't find this place. Dee Dee was already living here. It's Dee Dee's place. Yeah, but I found it again, so I should get paid for it. And Carter's just like, you dumb. He's like, I'm still going to get paid for this. It's like, yeah, you already found it, but I found it again to make you realize it's a good place to stay. It's like, shut up, Gerald. And, it's just like, cementing more, of him being home, it being a home environment. So things are going to get crazy from there. Living under that household, Carter and Gerald are going to stop by from time a lot, because that's kind of where they probably chill and hang a lot of times. I'm pretty sure that's not, because I'm surprised Carter didn't offer a place for him to live. Does Carter live with Dee Dee? I don't think he does. I don't think him or Gerald live there. I think it's just, they pop around pretty frequently because it's kind of like, it's their main spot to hang out. Another favorite part of mine in this episode, well, one was the fact is that they bring it up is that Captain Cole, she has the mayor on her phone saved as Bunny, and Carter's like, why is the mayor named Bunny on your phone? And she's like, let's not worry about that. It's like, why is that though? Does her and the mayor kind of have a bit of a relationship? Is that, I can only assume. I hope we get a little bit of a answer to that later on. Maybe we get to see them interacting. Which, interestingly enough, we get to see Captain Cole hitting on the guy named Chad. He was kind of wearing the bomb squad suit, looking for bomb. And she's like, "Oh, be careful! Don't blow. You won't want to blow up that handsome face of yours." And then Carter's like, "Captain, can you stop hitting on Chad?" She's like, "What are you, my mother?" It's like you are picking the weirdest time to hit on somebody, so. But at the same time, my favorite part was at the end, when Carter threw the bomb off that lady. What was her name? Molly? And it went in that dumpster and exploded. And just, he was dancing all over the place. Even Lee did a backflip. And he's just happy. He's just like, yeah, Captain, I was on. Lately, Lee's a little bit off. But I took that bomb off like no problem. And just, it blew up. It's just, I saved the day. I was on. And then Captain Cole was like, oh, it's a good thing that happened. But she's like, but you're stupid, right? He's like, what? She's like, yeah, you could have died. He's like, no, I took it off. He's like, no, even the slightest bit of adjusting, that bomb could have exploded and killed you both. And it killed his spirit. He was on top of the world, and then he just fell. And she essentially bitch slapped him with that information. It just kind of tore him down. I felt so bad for him. But that's really all I want to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.